Now that it's 6 o'clock, I'm going to call the school board meeting to order on August 20th, 2025 at 6 p.m. We'll look for a roll call. Yeah.
I'm Megan Reed, the principal of Summit Community Central Elementary School.
Amanda Hulot, Director of Student Services.
Sean Moynihan, Principal, Something Middle High School.
Tiago Pereira, School Board.
Linda Tanner, School Board.
Amanda Spears, School Board.
Elise Lazat, School Board.
Ed Anderson, School Board.
Russ Holden, Superintendent.
Kelly Russell's Business Administrator.
Now if we could stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to start off with looking for approval of the school board meeting minutes, particularly the minutes of June 4th, 2025 school board meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the June 4th school board meeting.
I'll second.
Does anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Looking for a motion to approve the non-public minutes of June 4th, 2025 school board meeting.
Make a motion to approve the non-public minutes from June 4th.
I'll second that.
Questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And a motion for the minutes of August 13th, 2025 policy meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of August 13th policy meeting.
I'll second.
Questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
I abstained from that. I wasn't at the meeting.
Yes, you were, Linda.
Oh, which one did I miss?
You are, because we had our meeting.
Right, okay,
I put you with the meeting.
okay,
I'll explain that when we do.
that's great.
Agenda review.
Agenda's good to go.
All right. Public forum in accordance with policy BEDH. Anybody from the public here like to speak? Seeing nobody, we will move on. School updates. Representative is not here. I think we have to vote in a new one, correct?
No, she's back with us. She was a junior last year, and Taylor will be back this year.
Excellent. Okay. And SCES.
So when I was hired for this position, can you hear me okay? I reached out to all of the members of the staff and offered to meet one-on-one with folks to hear what was on their mind as they were looking at a change of administration and provided times to connect. And between June 10th and July 10th, we did 49 one-hour conversations with everyone, almost everyone from the staff. And we met in various locations, and I asked what they were proud of about SCES and wouldn't want to see change. I asked of opportunities for improvement that they could see, and then how I could best support them heading into a new school year. And I'm so incredibly grateful for the dedication of the staff in committing to those conversations. Some people met with me on Saturdays, people came in at night, many people came in after the school year ended, and just lended a lot of their time and their thoughts that really helped inform the work that we've done this summer and helped to smooth the transition. Out of those conversations, two solid themes emerged. I think almost every single conversation, folks talked about hoping for more consistency and hoping for more communication. And to that end, we've made some initial steps. We've drafted some norms for our faculty meetings that use our same school acronym SOAR, but talking about how as a faculty we're going to SOAR with our faculty meetings. We had a meeting today with all of our teachers and our staff to talk about recess and consistent protocols for recess, and then we've also met with the Howdy Club, who uses our playground space after school, so that for students it's consistent what is and isn't okay on the playground. We're having training with our BCBA tomorrow to talk about some proactive, consistent procedures for classroom management. 3 groups also met over the summer, and one meeting was our K-3 teachers met and it was facilitated by Jessica White, who's our reading and writing specialist. And we met teachers K through 3 to reevaluate our assessment practices for ELA. Because there's a large battery of assessments that are given, and we really looked at what are each of the different assessments, what is the data that we're getting from this, how are we using it, and being really clear about the intentionality of time assessing, because every time you're spending time assessing, that's time you're not spending on instruction, and making sure that we were using the data that we're getting and knowing what we can get from those assessments. So it wasn't meant to be a decision-making meeting, but to really look at each component and look for gaps and overlaps, and head into the year with that on our mind. The Principals Advisory Committee was very generous and came in and met with me over the summer and helped to draft the strategic plan goals and to provide input for that. And they also helped to make plans for the back to school nights that we've had this week, and helped with plans for our lobby area. We have a waiting area now that's at the top of the stairs in the lobby, hoping to provide a nice place for parents if they come to pick up their students where they're waiting, but that's secure, but then just providing a better flow to what's going on in the office and where parents would wait, making that maybe a more calm experience for everybody. We also have a committee for multi-tier systems of support that met this summer, and they do a lot with our SOAR acronym, with students staying safe, owning their actions, always being responsible, and respecting everyone, and looking at continuing with that initiative and how we want to continue to roll things out for students this year. We've had 2 days of professional development, one more tomorrow, and we've had committees meeting to make plans. We've done a data dive so teachers can see that data about the students who are coming into their classrooms. And a big thank you to Jessica White for facilitating that meeting, and Mark Vandenberg and Natasha Hamill for also helping to collect data for teachers. And then back to school nights are happening. So tonight we did our back to school night for preschool and kindergarten. We had fantastic attendance. I think in both kindergarten classes we had everybody but 2 students who were able to make it tonight. Lots of different groups represented. The Abbott Library was there, the Outing Club was there. We had a table that Michelle Flynn helped with for volunteers to sign up. Stacy Smoothies donated smoothies. We had pizza for parents. It was just a lot of volunteers came in. It was a great night, and we have another one tomorrow for grades K through, or 1 through 5. And the SPTO has donated the Kona Ice Drop for that. There's really not enough time for me to thank everyone who's been so helpful to me and supportive as we're making this new transition, and I feel really grateful to serve the district in this capacity, and I'm really grateful, especially to Amanda and Russ, for all of the help in making it happen.
Questions?
I just appreciate how visible you've been. It's definitely been noticed that you've been available to parents all summer, and I think that's a breath of fresh air at this point, so thank you for that.
Switching from obviously one principal to a new principal, how do you feel over the summer you were having information on projects that were moving and going? Was there ability to learn on stuff that the prior principal was moving forward on, notes left, or like a plan for you to move into? Is there anything that's not there that you have concerns about?
I will say those one-to-one meetings helped so much, because there would be like something someone mentioned and I was like, oh, okay, note to self, go back and find out about. Carrie Gross has been phenomenal as the front office administrative assistant. She has so much institutional knowledge and just has been amazing, so that's really helped. I think the willingness and how hard everyone works there has made it. There's certainly things I still don't know, but people are so open to being helpful, and I'm not afraid to ask. So, yeah, it's been fun to come from a place of curiosity and then kind of work on things together. So there was some work to be done, maybe with the master schedule and some other pieces, but I think we're in great shape for Monday. And then there are some things that we've said, we've got a little time, and we can work on this, and we'll be ready for that when that time comes.
Sounds great.
So, trying to keep everybody focused on, let's let's get a good start, and we have a long time to work on everything, so we'll go.
Thank you. We'll move on to SCES.
SNHS.
What's that?
She's SCDS.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just directed SNHS.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. First of all, introduce our new assistant principal, John Loves. He has been with us all summer. He's going to also teach 3 social studies classes. So he's been busy. But good to have him on board. He's been here a lot. We've spent a lot of time together. So it's a transition for us as well. But a productive summer. We have a lot of new students. So I think that's one of the things that I would stress with our faculty as well. I think it's good. I don't say that in a negative way at all. But we have a lot of new students. Mr. Holden and I kind of joked a lot in the spring. I was doing tours like all the time. Doing tours of students who are interested in coming here. I got 2 more calls today. That would surprise Mr. Holden when he sees it. So I got 2 calls today. People who want to see the school and are interested in coming. We have a fair amount of students right now whose parents they're not in the school choice district. They're in a different town and they want to come here. So those are good. They present some challenges, but that's a big change. And we're working on that. If you look at the strategic goals, which I know is on the agenda, one thing that Mr. Levis and I talked about, it was a lot easier when 3 kids came in, because those 3 kids kind of had to integrate with our students. But when that number's 12, it's not as necessary for them to integrate with our students. They can kind of get off of their own little pack. And so we're seeing when that happens in numerous years, there's things that we want to do to better integrate them into the school. And a lot of it was just pretty organic when it was a smaller number, and I think it's going to take more effort. But they're excited. One of the things that we have a huge advantage is they are seeking us out. They like the way we do things. That's why they're coming here. So we kind of already sold them on that piece. Some really good news, I think. A good example is we had our new student orientation last night, and I think of the 24 new students, 22 came. Of the 6th grade students, all but 2 students were here. The 9th grade orientation, we have a very large 9th grade class. Give you that number in a second as I go into it. All but 2 people came. I talked to Mrs. Reed today about it. I'm like, who has 95% participation these days? Where everybody in the summer, they're coming. So a lot of really positive things coming from that. I know it's on the agenda today is policy. A big piece of news is the personal device communication device policy, especially as we talk middle school and high school. It's going to be a little bit of an eye-opener for our kids, even though we kind of gave them the heads up last year that it was coming down the pike. But I think we'll deal with it well. So I think they won't love it, but they'll understand it. But that'll be a change for them as well. But looking forward to the year. Kids are coming in. Teachers have been in for the last 2 days working hard. We also have an unusual circumstance. We have a teacher who's going a leave of absence, and we do not have a long-term sub for that. That's we're actually going to do Khan Academy in math, and that's not a normal process that we use. So that'll be something new for us, although we had a case of it in COVID. So those are the big news items. I do have a letter going out to parents today, but I intentionally wanted to wait because I was still doing everything I could on the math person to see if this was how it was going to go down, but this looks like it's going to be how it goes somewhat.
Is it something they could relax, or is it not appropriate?
Not really, because the teacher's going to be reintegrating back before the end of the first quarter. And I will say this: I used Khan Academy for grammar when we were on COVID for English, and it was originally designed for math. So there are some pieces to it that I would rather have it for math than anything else, quite frankly. I would rather have it at the very beginning of the year as opposed to going December to February. So there's some positives to it, but you know, lots of schools find themselves in this situation. We generally do not. We're very fortunate that it doesn't happen. I'll tell you, the teacher is working, you know, incredibly hard to make sure it's as good as it can be. So there's a lot of positives to that. But it's a change from what the norm is. And we're very used to normal here. There's a couple things that are a little out of the norm for us.
Because you mentioned it, we're gonna talk about policy later. How do you feel about class sizes? Because we're getting big.
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel good with some buts, right? We're pushing on a couple. So we, you know, what I appreciate that the board and Mr. Holden, you know, give a lot of trust that I'm gonna look at these things, and you know, there's benefits on the other way. So I have algebra classes right now, 25. That's a little larger than I would like it to be, but the opposite of that, sometimes if you don't do that, then you're down in one section, you don't have the flexibility, you know, so, I'm comfortable with that size. I don't wanna get a whole lot bigger. I've talked about looking at making a third section and what that would look like, and there's things that could be done to do that. 2 has worked well for a long, long time. It keeps consistency of teachers, a lot of things. I'm still comfortable with 25. I've talked to teacher 25. I've had a math class in previous years, as large as 27 or 28. But I don't want that to be the norm. I want it to be the exception. Overall, pretty comfortable with it. But I'm keeping a closer eye on it than I have in previous years.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll move on to the superintendent update.
Thank you. So let's start with some introductions. So you met John Wallace, and John has been on board as Sean since in July, and he's doing a fantastic job and has really just integrated himself into the high school, the middle high school here. And obviously, Megan's stepping down to the elementary schools. She's done a fantastic job. We are very fortunate to be able to have that transition. You folks talked last year, one of my goals was looking at succession planning, and I think we really have put some things in place to ensure that stability within not only our administrative team, but within the district itself. This is John White. John White is our new facility director. Took over from Matt. You know, Matt's down at the hospital now. And as I joked the other day in sort of the Bill Belichick way, the next person up. Well, Matt walks out, John steps in. Patrick leaves, Megan steps in, John steps in. So we just have people, you know, next manning up or next personing up, which is great. And so John will be our new facilities director. He's done a great job. Already hit the ground running 2 weeks ago. Has just impressed me, has impressed Kelly, has really worked well. We've got some new custodians on board. Almost half our crew is new. John's been able to get some good people here that are really interested in working and keeping that sort of pride in our buildings and the way we did things here, even back when Billy was here. Those of you who know Billy can understand what I mean by that. And AJ, Alex Jennings has stepped up and being the number 2 man. And we have been grooming AJ all along and getting AJ approved through the Association of Business Administrators in his facility director certification, and we'll continue to do that because John has said he's not staying here forever, but he's gonna give us a run, and again, sort of that next person up, getting AJ ready, hopefully when that position opens, that he'll be able to step into it. So some introductions. It has been a very busy summer. As we're gonna talk about policy in a minute, but as Sean mentioned, the cell phone policy certainly is probably the biggest one that will have the biggest impact across our state, but not a huge impact here. It's certainly gonna take some adjustment for kids to know that this can't be there. It has to be in your backpack, has to be in your car, has to be in your locker. We has to be off at all times. We'll work with kids to help them understand, you know, the progression and what was and what is. But it is, you know, we all see it. Our kids are tired. We're all tired enough to some degree. And I think it's actually a good policy to put into place, and I appreciate the governor doing it. I think it's certainly going to create a lot more hardship in other places, but there's a lot of studies that are coming out now that are talking about the impact of the light on the blue light on these and the flickering and what it's doing to the children's development in their brain. And so pushing away from some of that, we've all had anxious kids and we've all heard about anxious kids, is I think going to be helpful. And, you know, maybe it's a little late, but hopefully the next generation coming up can see some of that benefit. We'll talk more about policy. I want to talk a couple of really big things that I think we're going to experience. I know we're going to experience this year. And so the first is this the expensive things. And so things are just crazy expensive, right? Well, we're buying plumbing fixtures, chairs, desks, you name it across the board, our Chromebooks. It is just, it's crazy expensive. And we know right now that based upon kids that have moved into our district, not tuition kids, kids that are living in Sunapee, that we've had to hire some more paraeducators to support some of those kids and their needs. And so I'm just telling you now that based upon where we see our spending, I'll probably be coming to you in the springtime and saying, I'm gonna need some money from the facilities account, I'm gonna need some money from our special education trust fund, and perhaps our contingency fund. Because we know we don't have that money in the budget. The last couple of years, we've drawn our budget down to under 6 digits. Right, so we were well spending our budget, sometimes really close, which we should. We're still returning some tuition money back to the town, so I feel really good about that because we do take in a little more tuition money. But knowing that right now, when I'm looking at potential $75,000, $100,000 in special ed costs that wasn't in the budget, knowing that there are potential things coming in our facilities that could be easily 100, 150, 200,000. Just based upon pricing and services and agreements. So I'm just kind of giving you the heads up on that. One of the big pieces for facilities is going to be plowing. And so folks may remember the town went to a default budget. I communicated with the town administrator at that time, and one of the things they were looking at was the ability to plow the school facilities. And so we've communicated over the summertime a few times. John has gotten involved with the highway director. I had an email last night from the town administrator saying that they don't feel like they'll be able to do anything to help assist with plowing at this time with the schools. John had a meeting today with the highway director. He articulated that as well. We can move your snowbanks, but outside of that, we don't think we're going to do any plowing. So we think plowing is a pretty substantial number, and it has not only an impact on just getting a contractor to come in here to be able to facilitate what our needs are, it has a bigger ripple effect. Because we've been really good about getting to school, thanks to the town, and our crew here, getting our buildings open and ready to go. Certainly we have remote days and we call them when we're able to call them, but we were able to stay away from 2-hour delays, we're able to stay away from sort of that couple inches of snowstorm that may be coming at 7 o'clock and we can clean it up quick. So the ripple is potentially we're closing school potentially more, which that's the ripple. So if you can't get childcare, you have to miss work, or you have to have a 2-hour delay, and now you gotta wait, and you gotta go into work late. That affects people within our community. So it's a little disheartening that we're unable to work with the town to facilitate that. Their personnel short, their budget short. We have asked them if there was a number on what it would cost to do that plowing, and their response was they're not sure. I don't think they exactly have that number, but more importantly, they don't feel they have equipment and personnel at that time to even be able to facilitate the plowing needs that we have. So we'll keep you up to date, but I have a feeling probably in November, if not before, we're in the process now of building some bid specs. We'll go out to bid, and we're gonna have to find a company that's willing to come in here. And I think you're talking $25,000, $35,000, $45,000, $50,000, somewhere in that range, to hire a company to come in and do some plowing for the 3 buildings in 3 areas that we have. So I wanted to make you aware of that because that would be one of those expenses. Right? That is certainly going to be one of those expenses. The other piece, obviously, that you probably all have experienced is just the Lower Main Street piece. It certainly has been interesting navigating which way you want to get to what building in the summertime. We know water's being shut off. Friday, we're told from 8 to 10, 8 to 11 at the elementary school, 12 to 4, 11 to 3 here at the middle high school. We think the SAU may be being shut off tomorrow. That also, the Friday morning does impact the gym itself. So just making people aware, we've told our teachers that people are coming and going. We're going to do our best to make sure that there's at least bottled water available, but be cognizant of coming in and what facilities may be up and maybe not up. And lastly, and Sean hit on it a little bit, people are really interested in coming to Summit. And we've always had a great relationship with our tuition schools Unity, Leominster, Goshen, Croydon, and we continue to attract more and more kids coming and looking to come into Sunapee. Well, last year through policy, our legislators tried to pass what was an open enrollment law that's already in the books, but try to pass that through the entire state, where basically there were no residencies of school districts. So if you lived in any school district, you could attend any school. And that sending school cost per pupil could be the tuition, which is up to 80% of that sending school cost per pupil could have been used as tuition money for that other school. That law did not pass. The current law stays on the record that you have to go through a big process through your town to become an open enrollment school. There is only 2 in the state. One is Prospect Mountain, the other is Franklin. There are no other open enrollment schools. But this open enrollment is coming back next year. And it's going to be very interesting, I think, to see what that does legislatively, and then what we need to start looking at as a board regarding our tuition and our tuition agreements and our tuition costs, and how we want to see if we can align some of those things. And so I'm going to give you just a quick example. I went and pulled the cost per pupil that are available online for the 23-24 school year. They're always a year behind. And so right now, if you were in Croydon's cost per pupil is 32 and change. And so 80% of that is 25.6. So we could charge up to 25.6 to come here. Now we know right now, based upon what Croydon has told us, the problem with open enrollment, and you're gonna hear, they won't be able to afford it. So they can't afford 25.6 to send kids here to Sunapee. Right? Now some of those kids could go to Grantham, they could go to Newport, they could go to Claremont, but there are going to be certain indicators. So Leominster's, their 80% of their 22,000 cost per pupil is 18,000. On Newport, 27,000, so their 80% is 22,000. Right? So we start really looking at where we potentially, knowing something like open enrollment may happen, but not put ourselves in a place where we're going to be causing other school districts sort of these giant financial gaps. So just for perspective, our 80% is 24.6. So think about that. Any student that left here, if they charge us 80% of the school district, we're paying that school district 24.6. That one student, 2 students, call 4 students, that doesn't move the envelope as far as our lights, our teachers, our supplies, all that, but that's $100,000 that just walked out the door. And so I'm putting that on your radar because I know there has been lots of conversation last year to do the deliberative session. We're subsidizing the Croydon and the Goshen, the Leominster kids, our tuition kids are just subsidizing. Sunapee kids we're subsidizing their education. But I want to make sure that if we're going to look at our tuition costs, and right now 16.5 high school, 15.5 K-8, maybe we move a little bit, but I think if we go to that 80% threshold, I think we're going to price ourselves out where some schools are just going to go, we can't afford it. Like, we're all watching what's happening in Claremont. They have a pretty big deficit right now, and it'll be very interesting to see how that plays out. But I don't want to be the cause of causing any of our neighboring communities to end up in a deficit either. And so I know we're going to try to do some things through my association, working with legislators to try to right some of this. But I think as a board, we probably would want, I would think maybe either next meeting or the October meeting, start talking and having a bigger conversation about tuition so that we can be really clear as districts are now going to be building budgets in the following October, November, December, they can be putting sort of what that, if open enrollment did pass, what that can look like for them as far as from a budgetary standpoint. I think it also helps us going into our deliberative session saying, okay, let's say we just do a flat rate at 19,000 for high school or 20,000 for high school instead of going all the way up to the 80%. I think at 20,000, maybe most school districts find that a little more feasible, especially if that open enrollment law is on the books, so it still keeps the door open. We may price out some other parent paid at that time, depending on where they are, and depending on how that legislation is made regarding open enrollment. But I do think I'd like to put that on our agenda, and maybe a topic that you were going to bring up anyhow. But I'd like to bring that up and have that conversation. We can have it twice, and I'll try to bring you some more data. But I think it's worthwhile having. And the other piece I think of that, which fits into that conversation, is our facility, our capacity within our facilities. And so our elementary school is full. I mean, we asked for a $10 million project, we got a 5, we're very grateful for it. Remember the $10 million project, though, added additional classrooms. We have no additional space. This summer, we took over a storage closet and we made it another small room for teachers, case managers, contracted service people to work with students in our cafeteria. So it's a room off our cafeteria. The size of this building up here, again, there isn't a lot of room. And so the conversations that were happening were, well, let's make one building K-12. Well, folks, it's still up online, you can find it all. Banwell did a very, very deep dive into what these facilities would look like and the deficiencies and what's there and what the capacities are. This doesn't have enough room to become K-12. And so does the question become, well, do we throw our high school out and let them go open enrollment in other places? Can this become K-8? This would be a very tight K-8. It wasn't built for K-8. It would need a lot of adjustments to make it to make it meet the code educationally to be a K-8 building, especially if we're adding preschool and kindergarten. So there's just I just want to draw people's memories back to when we brought Banwell in, they looked at elementary school, where it is, Sherburne Gym, 2-floor, 1-floor, addition here, on the back field. What happens if we put another level on this? Like we looked at, I think there were A through E options that we had opportunities. We took community input on. We had community forums. And if folks remember, we ended up with looking at the K-12 here, which got 57% vote. We needed 60 to pass. It was a $24 million project that time. And then we continue to move on to the projects we have now. So those two things fit together. We certainly are getting, our elementary school is getting bigger. The class policy that we're going to talk about tonight, we spent a lot of time on that, ensuring that, because people come to Summit because they want to be in small classes. So ensuring we can still maintain those small class sizes. And one of the things we've talked about probably in the first time, in probably since in my time here, is there are times that we are saying no to just any more tuition fees. So no, because if in October 3 kids move into 3rd grade right now, we're now at 1919 instead of okay, well let's just put 4 more kids in there, tuition kids, and then we'll be 2020 or 1818. But then the Sunday comes in now at 23, 24. So we're being very cognizant of where we have space to allow some of those tuition kids to come in. Looking at our class size, looking at our facilities, our building usage. And I think the last piece, and I'm on the soapbox, and I'm sorry, there's an opportunity, there has been an opportunity for us to continue to collect revenue for this community to help offset not only our budget, but to give back to the town to offset taxes within the entire town. And because we manage that tuition rate and manage the monies appropriately, we've been able to really save this town, I think, some money moving forward as we've gone through those processes. We like to continue to be able to do that, but if we price ourselves to where we're asking folks for $30,000 a kid or 28 or 25, we're not going to get those kids. And we did that exercise. Those of you who were on the board last year, we did the 10%, 5%. We looked at those numbers. So I know that there are certainly conversations. And I know there's an expectation of who we are and what we are and why people move to this community. And just know that from an administration and an SAU and a business perspective, we are really trying to balance all those things to ensure we're maintaining Sunapee, who we are, being able to bring in revenue, offer quality education to all our kids, continue to support the programs and things that are here for our community, while still allowing other kids from other communities to have access to what's here in Sunapee. It's a 3-legged stool that we're trying to balance. But long story, we should probably have some more conversation regarding tuition. That's it.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
I have one more piece for you, so I am going on. But on the table, I just want to give you a quick couple of pieces of information. The first is the Newport Tech Center. There's an open house on the 26th, 2 o'clock if you want to go and get a tour of the new facility. We send kids over there. It's a great process. The other is Hannah Grant, our adjustment counselor. She came and presented last year, I think, at the end of the school year. done an amazing job with some volunteer help, putting the Laker Locker together. We'll bring her back and have more conversation, but I think the flyer pretty much speaks for itself, and just be able to really offer services to our community and our families, I think that's great. And first day was yesterday with school teachers, with everyone back, and we brought in this guest speaker, Pam Gilmoren, I'm not pronouncing it right, but it really was really uplifting to look at positive practices and positive psychology. She was a very dynamic speaker, very engaging, and you know, if you wanted to take something away from that, it'd be hard not to. And she said, take one. And she probably gave us 12 different strategies. Take one. And I listed a few of them there. But one of the things that really resonated with me was, we have a tendency as human beings to always go to the negative. We'll always go to the negative. And if you allow that to happen, just evolutionary, that's where you're going to go. That's your draw. So waking up every morning and going, oh my back and work and to, you know what, I'm excited about getting to work today. And I think today's going to be a great day. Just sort of changing your own perspective on how you go about starting a day can make a huge difference, not only for you, but then with the people that you interact with. So I offered just a little some stuff there for you to take a look at. It was really well received. I think we did probably an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. But I think I've got a lot of positive feedback. People are saying, hey, you know what, I think I can take one thing and I can make that and work on that throughout the year. So, sorry again, that was a little longer than I thought.
One thought that I had talking about the plowing issue we're running into, has anybody just talked to the town about simply sanding for us?
We did.
They wouldn't even do that?
They were unable to give us, I think that, and I'm not going to speak for John, but our conversation was they feel like they're already over budget in their sand, and they didn't necessarily have a number to give us on what that cost would be, because they would have to go back and recalculate square footage of our parking lot areas and all that kind of stuff. So we'd be going out looking from soup to nuts.
It's unfortunate, after plowing for 30 years, it takes 20 minutes to plow a driveway, it takes 2 minutes to sand it, and they bill the same cost to plow as they do the sand, and it's literally in and out in seconds. It would be a shame if there isn't a way that we could offer to buy sand to put there to maybe help.
We did.
Nothing. Well, it's really also.
Emergency, I don't know if I can speak.
You're not supposed to, but we can, the board chair can certainly allow you.
I will allow you.
On an emergency situation, as far as moving a pile out of the way, they'll send out a favor. Above and beyond that.
I just think it's a.
Can't give us the cost. I asked them the cost. What is the cost? Break it down. What is it gonna cost to have this done by DOT? Can't provide that information.
I think part of that is they're in a default budget situation, being men down, being trucks down. I think they're just struggling as a department right now, just to be able to see how they're gonna get their own projects done and move forward, so. I know they've been at least engaged in conversation, and I appreciate that, and I understand what they're going through. But again, that ripple effect concerns me, and I think the other piece that's concerning for all taxpayers, $50,000 out of my budget, and how I raise that at $8 a thousand, compared to how that's raised on the other side of the town at $3, $4 a thousand. It's just something we have to be conscious of.
I just think it's important for the community to hear that we're at least putting forward attempts in this, because one of the constant things I hear is why the town and the school isn't joining to reduce costs. And I do understand with the default budget and all that. I just think it's important for the community to know that we are continuing to try to find areas for us to save money at the school.
Mr. Chair?
One minute question.
So the Sugar and Gin parking lot, how much of that is the bank?
Very little. So when you go into the first entrance by the bank, I think they own just to the other side of the entrance, and I think it actually cuts back at a diagonal towards that back wall. There's actually different, if you look at it, there's different color pavement.
So we've been we've been following that, I mean, you know,
No, not necessarily. I mean, we may scrape a little of that, but they have their own problem.
oh, they have their own
Yeah.
contract. Have we talked to them about that company?
We haven't, we're sort of just informing you tonight that because we had conversations up to today. Now we're gonna put some bid specs together and go over bids.
And then the last thing that I have with the new cell phone policy changing, I know we touched on that it might be difficult with the kids, but I'm just concerned as principals, you're gonna deal with more difficulty from the parents. And it's something to think about, because I just hear a lot of parents, as it is, like, you know, I called my son or daughter with an emergency, and, you know, they were told they couldn't answer the phone, so it might just be something to pay attention for.
Yeah, a couple of good things. There's a lot of schools that are worried about this. I'm not as concerned. Knock on wood, our parents are really pretty reasonable, for the most part, and it's a state law. It really is, it's a state law. I actually tend to agree with most of the things they have in there. But even if I didn't, it's a state law, we're required to follow it. It is a big priority of ours always, that, we have somebody available. Sometimes, you call and you can't get a hold of anybody. That's exceedingly rare here. We make sure that that's the case. We've always tried to do that, so, I just think you'd be hard pressed to find a parent who called like at 2 different times and get anybody here. So, it's not gonna be perfect, but I'm pretty confident that we'll do it relatively seamlessly. We'll see what I say in September.
We'll talk a little bit more about the policy too, and give some more detail.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, moving on to policy updates.
School board topics, I'm gonna hold your feet to the fire.
I keep
You
listening.
don't have to give it to me tonight, but if there are presentations, something in our schools you know nothing about, want to know more about, have heard about, let me know. We have a start of the year. I would love to bring student group, teacher groups, anybody we can in here in front of you. Let them talk to you about what they do during the day and things that you may have heard of and seen. So you let me know and I'll line them up. If you don't line them up, I'll look for them.
It'd be interesting to hear about some of our students that go to Sugar River, or do CTE programming, or VLAX programming, or just any alternative programming.
Okay. So CT credit and or online learning kids. Super.
I think anything from the students would be great. I know there's a strategic plan group, but if there's like other, like student council or something like that, it'd be great to hear from
Student
them.
council, I know both principals have principal advisory committees, and maybe we could bring those committees forward.
Yep.
Awesome. Super. Again, as they come up.
Thank you. Moving back on to policy updates, I'm going to look first for a motion to accept the rescinded policies.
I'll motion to accept the rescinded.
I'll second.
Any concerns with these being removed?
I was at that meeting, and these are mainly ones that are rescinded, but they come in place later.
Perfect. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Seeing no opposed. Looking for a motion to approve the first and final reading for the next group of policies.
I'll make a motion to approve first and final.
I can second.
As before, any things that jump out at us?
Yeah, just a couple. A lot of these, because they're first and final, they're already in law. So, we've kind of talked about a lot of them. Your first one, your New Hampshire Bill of Rights, it's already in law. The career readiness is already, really what they've changed, and correct me if I'm wrong, Russ, is they added elementary school, which our elementary schools are already doing, which was great, which would be interesting too, to talk about these other groups and where they're going. And then the cell phone policy, obviously it's already in law, we just have to have our own policy. To your point, Ed, I'm worried about parents, but I'm more worried about parents like me who forgot to tell their kid to come home or to come straight home from practice, and I'm texting at 2 o'clock and it's my fault. So we're gonna have to train our parents too,
Yeah, I like that. So if you don't mind me interjecting a little bit, and this is what I like about being a middle high school and high school principal is, they were supposed to have it off. So it's not your job to go and turn it off. So you might have texted them, but their phone, if you text them and their phone was off, they don't know anything until the phone's not off. So,
My fault.
so that's one of the things, I think sometimes parents, sometimes they'll go, what was my fault, they were late to school, and I'll be like, does the bus come by they're in high school, like, if you don't get your first grade to school and the bus doesn't get there, that's one thing, but it's, they were late because they chose to get a ride from me at 7:55 rather than leaving the school bus stop at 7:30, which is always on, so, yeah, the parents are gonna have to work on that a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's supposed to be off, and if it's off, they're not getting that text from the parent or that call from the parent, they're getting what was on.
Yeah.
And again, that's a violation of the law.
And I appreciate that you guys have done the hard work in the previous years, you know, Megan, you too, obviously, they're trained, they know. So I think hopefully it'll be fairly smooth, you know, one piece we talked about was watches, like that's gonna be tricky. But I think statewide it's gonna be tricky, so it's not gonna be just us trying to figure it out, and I appreciate you guys taking the time and educating them and helping them understand like this is even more real than it's ever been. It's really, really real. And it's not just New Hampshire, it's a lot of states are doing the same thing. So.
Just the other piece there, so students that, if it's written in the RIP for whatever reason, obviously students are on insulin, things like that. And as always, any student that had an emergency can certainly go down to the front office, and if a student came in and said, you know, she's my mom and dad are going in for surgery today and they're getting out at 11:30, can I come down? Sure, right, we certainly will work with students as long as they're communicating with us, and or parents communicating with us. It's just as Sean said, we're all now sort of bound by law on this is what we will do, and we're gonna do it with some grace and dignity, but we know at some point in time, someone's gonna have it out for the fifth, second, first time, and it's, well, it's, you know, sorry, it's a violation.
So that was kind of the high points of those for first and final.
All those in favor? Aye. No opposed? And motion to accept the reviewed policies.
I'll motion to accept review.
Again, second.
A couple just because we'll still have another month of few things that we should look at. You know, not a lot of tremendous changes. Summer activities just added a career exploration piece to it, which is valuable. The one that we've kind of already talked about a lot is class size policy. So, you know, to what everybody has already said, we're really cognizant here in Santa Fe about our class size, which is tremendous. And after talking with Amanda and Russ, you can see that the policy that we're putting out there is kindergarten 18, first grade 20, second 22, third through fifth 24, middle high 55, or 25, 55 would be crazy, 25. With the caveat, the language reads, where am I looking for? Russ, I just lost it. Whenever possible.
Whatever possible.
Whenever possible. So kind of to what we were speaking of before, making sure that we're always aware that kids come and go. I think even more if you're seeing such a new, you know, influx of kiddos. And also keeping aware of our square footage of some of our spaces, you know, being really cognizant of what that means. And doing a little bit of future proofing. So looking at these numbers and trying to understand how do we kind of make sure that we're setting ourselves up for success. So that's kind of a bigger one. You know, I don't know if there's any other ones that we need to really speak to per se. Not a lot of huge changes, I don't think.
What about student conduct and behavior? Is there any big changes there?
Student conduct and behavior, and again, I'll ask for corrections when I speak to it incorrectly. One big piece of that is this the one with recess?
So the student conduct behavior discipline was the MTSS, so ensuring there's levels of sort of progressive discipline, if you will. Ensuring the MTSS is part of that progression. So majority of these review policies come from the new ED 306s, so the educational rule book, which was passed finally after years and years, but there were certain tweaks within these policies that had to come. The class size is a good one. The ED 306s talks about a maximum class size of 30. That allows us to put our maximum class size with it, but we have to indicate that the ED 306 says 30, even though our kindergarten is 8. Just a lot of legislative stuff.
Does any of these affect anything in terms of the teacher contract?
Sorry,
Teachers' contracts, is there anything that is?
No.
See no other questions or comments, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving on to action items, looking for a motion to approve the superintendent hire of the Spanish teacher.
So folks, so I think it was last meeting, we had a resignation of a Spanish teacher. Sean and his crew up here did a great job turning that around. We had 6, 8, 7, 9, I don't remember. We had a good amount of applicants.
Yeah, it was a little trickier. It was one of the few ones where we actually offered a position to somebody, they accepted the position. I called everybody and told them that they did get the position, and then I got a call back 2 days later, the person reconsidered. And so we had that situation, which is unusual. We had some late applicants, and I was really pleased by the quality of candidates that we had,
Really?
the lateness of the position. Because again, we're very fortunate in our hiring process that we're usually, at the ideal time or the perfect time, that we usually can choose when we want to advertise it and we'll get the best candidates. And this was one of those exceptions. It's actually been 2 years, it happened with us and that a couple years ago too. But again, really good quality of candidates.
So we welcome Carmen.
I'll make a motion to approve the superintendent hire of the Spanish teacher.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
For a motion to approve the 2025-2026 Appendix E positions.
Make a motion to approve the 2025-2026 Appendix E positions.
So we had most of these back in the spring. We had a few other positions that were open. Tom's done a great job in getting folks to step up and take on some of our open positions. So we're really excited that we're able to run varsity, JV, middle school programs in our soccer and volleyball right now. And we might be adding another coach to golf because we've had quite a few folks interested in golf this year. We're going to wait and see how those numbers shake out and go there. But we're happy that we're able to add off the programs that we do. And people continue to step up, not only from inside our building, but from outside our building.
Oh, thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
No opposed. Information items, facility update.
So just, I'll go through them quick. Our windows were put in at the elementary school. That was the third and final floor doing that. A lot of painting. Our shop up here at the middle high school, thank you, John Goslin came in after fire inspection with state fire marshal, local fire chief. We had to do some work in there. We've gotten that in with John's help. They really got that. That has been overhauled completely. It's spectacular. It really looks great in there. We got things back up and running the way they need to. We had some different wiring configurations, but again, I really appreciate people's time and effort in getting that up and off the list of the fire inspector to get the green light to continue to go ahead and use it. We talked about consolidating spaces and storage, right? We're trying to consolidate now furniture and trying to get furniture in one place and moving files to a different place. And so we're now actually looking at the old boiler room here in the basement that has those, if you remember, it has like a 6-inch slab on them. So we're gonna put shelving units on those slabs to be able to put stuff on that shelving units so that if that ever happened to flood, there is a sump pump in there, but it wouldn't hit that because it'd be off the ground. So we're now in the basement looking for nooks and crannies. And the last piece, and I think Megan or Sean hit on it, new security systems in both buildings. So right now, how we have them set up, that instead of just the buzz and you get to walk in, it's now you buzz, there's a camera that looks straight at you. The person's able to communicate with you, hear you, and see you, have that conversation. Well, it'll let you into our building. We created the box with the safety grant, both up here and at the elementary school. You will now stay in that box. So you will not get to come past those double doors of the main office into the school itself. Again, it's just a security measure. We're not trying to be institutionalized, we're not trying to be a prison system, but it's just a security measure. We set up nice waiting rooms for people, and there's chairs to sit and wait, and we'll bring your child out to you. Now, obviously you have a meeting, you're invited in, we open the doors and let you in. This keeps people out of our hallways and also out of our main office. Our main office is our hub to our school. and there's a lot that goes on there. And so keeping that separation is also very healthy, but more importantly, and really what it's for is the security of our staff and students. So those are just a few of the big projects that have gone on. Again, I can't thank John enough and AJ and his crew. They have just done a phenomenal job getting things done. And I'd be a little remiss not to mention our 2 student workers, Ryan Gross and Owen Baranis. A couple students here, juniors, they think both juniors, maybe one's a senior, one's a junior, came and worked for us this summer and really gave a helping hand. And it's tough as an old guy to work around a young kid sometimes, right, John?
They can't keep up.
No, yeah.
Personnel update?
You might have seen the signs. We're still looking for a custodian and a food service worker. We've done a pretty good job of getting things advertised, but it goes back to people have positions and they say, well, we're offering 18 to 20, or we're offering 20 to 22. Well, I want 24. Or what John's experienced and shared with me. Yeah, I'd like to look at your job, and I'm available next Tuesday to come in for an interview. Well, tomorrow's open. Yeah, but I'm open next Tuesday. Well, I'm not sure we get the candidate we might be looking for. So we've hired a lot of paraprofessionals for special education students, but we're still looking for some custodial and some food service people. So if you know people that may be interested, send them our way. We'll be happy to pick them up. Please take a look at it.
Strategic plan action steps.
So in your packet, again, I'm just super impressed with the student group and the work that the folks did, and then our administrative team taking these goals and then putting action steps on them. So I just wanted to share with you some of the action steps that our schools and our departments will be taking on next year to help us achieve some of our goals.
Were you surprised by anything identified in the weakness area?
No, because I think it's, that SWOT analysis, so that SWOT analysis took, I think, 3 days, three different days to do. It was interesting listening to them sort of process, because what happened was a lot of strengths were also weaknesses, and a lot of the weaknesses were also strengths.
Yeah.
And when they started to really work through some of that, they were like, yeah, I'm not really sure how we feel about some of that. But they're just very honest and open, and I think, again, that's the perspective of a student. That's what we want. We're really clear, like we're not, no, we have 7 engineering classes and we have this, that, the other thing, but that's your perspective. We're gonna write it down and hear your perspective.
Our next school board meeting will be September 3rd, 2025. Any issues with that date? All right, moving on to manifest, looking for a motion to approve the manifest as stated.
I'll make a motion to approve the manifest as stated.
Questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And then moving on to the agenda for the next meeting, the only thing that I was going to bring up, which you have already spoke about, Russ, which I think is important, is to talk about enrollment.
Okay. So our official enrollment numbers aren't to October 1, but I think what we can do is we can go back and look at last year's tuition. We can talk about what that process, where those kids came from, those type of things. We can then start looking at, I'll put that data down with some of that 80% look like in cost per pupil. I don't know if the new one will be out by DOE, but if it is, I'll get that for you. And at least we can start putting some data together and taking a look at it. And then officially in our October meeting, we can say, all right, here we are officially at with tuition kids, Sunday kids, by grade, and go through that. And I would think, I believe it's in some of our agreements that, I think it's before November or maybe before mid-November, if we're gonna change tuition, we should be identifying that to those other districts.
Sure.
So I think if we can get that done in October, we'd be fine.
Any other questions or comments?
When do we start our budgeting? October?
Great question, yes. I've already sent an email out to Scott Ritzman and Jen, and they have volunteered again to be on our APC committee. So I let them know some prospective dates, but I think our first date was, it might have been, our date might have been November. I think it was our November school board meeting is our first maybe our first table, we sit with you, we have a little budget work session. And then I think we have one more before Thanksgiving, break, and then whatever we need moving forward from there.
All right, a motion to adjourn.
I will motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Thank you.